Hello and welcome to Daily Records. I am Tommy Burton and we are talking about the Beatles. And now the American albums and the British albums finally collide. From this point forward, the American album and the Beatles and the British album are the same. And what a way to collide with what many consider as one of the great albums of all time, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles, released on May 26, 1967, their 8th studio album, and it was released on June 2nd, 1967 in the United States. So the American people had to wait a little bit for this album. It immediately was accepted as a hit. It went number one on the UK album charts and spent several weeks there. Also number one in the United States, where it spent several weeks atop the charts. And it also won 4 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year. And it was the first ever rock album to receive that honor. Widely regarded by critics and fans for its innovations in production, songwriting, graphic design. The album came with these handy cutouts. Artist Peter Blake had a large hand in creating the overall look to this album. And just one of those albums that just was a cultural icon. And it definitely sums up the Summer of Love, 1967. And many people regard it as a concept album. Now, to me, I kind of agree with what John Lennon said. And I know John was sort of known for tearing down a lot of the myth of the Beatles. But John said it was only a concept in that they said it was a concept. But the idea is, excuse me, I'm not editing that out. There'll probably be another one right after it. I'm allergic to pepper. Or pepper makes you sneeze? I'm a clever lad. But the idea was that it's a fictional band, that they weren't the Beatles anymore, that they could be this other group, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And so the album kicks off with that title track, and it says, "Welcome to our show. Come along." And we're going to introduce to you the one and only Billy Shears, who Billy Shears, Ringo Starr, he sings "With a Little Help from My Friends." But beyond that, the album really doesn't follow the concept anymore, other than the fact that the Beatles were not going to be the Beatles as you knew them, but this very different group. So the next track is John's "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds," famously associated with the LSD, Lucy Sky Diamonds, but really based on a drawing by Julian. That's been refuted. It's probably interesting because the Beatles have enough drug songs that one, the one song that wasn't, is the one that gets associated because of the whimsical lyrics and just the way that it's presented. Getting Better, Paul McCartney rocker. I say rocker, it's not like a heavy rocker, but it does have a driving guitar. Fixing a Hole. She's Leaving Home, beautiful Paul McCartney ballad with a string arrangement, very much in line with Yesterday and Eleanor Rigby. And then the sort of whirlwind of sounds like a circus, Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite, a John Lennon song, lyrics taken from a poster, an antique poster from the 18th century. Really, really interesting. I said 18th, probably 19th century poster. And then the second side kicks off with the full-blown Indian meets Western music, Within You, Without You, George Harrison track. When I'm 64, Music Hall, song by Paul McCartney. Lovely Rita, about the meter maid we all know and love. Good Morning, Good Morning. Lots of sound effects and wild animal sounds on that. And then we come back to the Sgt. Pepper concept. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We've loved presenting it to you. And then with the masterpiece, A Day in the Life, famously cobbled together by the orchestral swell. Interesting lyrics like "I'd love to turn you on." So this is the Beatles going full-blown hippie, full-blown 60s, and that's why this album is regarded as sort of that iconic thing, the cover art with all the people on it. It's just top to bottom one of those LPs that's held up. Now, as I said with Revolver, there's been some revisionist history to it, and people have said, well, it's not as good as people say it is. You know what? I've gone back to this album time and time again, and it's always been a great listen. And so, having said all that, if you like albums for their music, this is a good one. The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, the iconic album that it is. Today's daily record. Like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. It's TommyBurton75. I love interacting with you guys. Check out my other channel, the Tommy Burton VC channel. And in the meantime, I will see you all again tomorrow with another daily record.